Ben Drewalski, what's going on?
I am fresh
Oh,
off of my one and only 23.2 attempt.
oh, did you do it today?
Yeah, I did it like no joke, like an hour and 30 minutes ago.
I, dude, I was talking to Nikki this afternoon. We had a call with a sponsor, and we're chatting afterwards. And she goes, I was talking to Matt, who's her husband, for those that don't know, and she's like, he mentioned he got all his tips for the 23.2 from Ben from Wad Prep, and she's like, that's John's co-host on his other show, and she's like, that dude from Wad Prep is his co-host. He had no idea.
That's so cool. That's
I
awesome.
know. It was cracking me up. But he's not the first one I've heard that did that. So apparently you gave really good advice. Did your advice work for you though? That's the real question.
It did work really well. I'm obsessed with the turnaround technique that we used. I really like that. But what's so interesting is the first part of the workout was not difficult for me. And I don't say that in like a pretentious way. I'm saying it in a way of like that workout, I should have pushed it way harder. I thought it was going to be one of those things where it's kind of like a trap. You get like sucked into a pace that's too fast.
Right.
It was actually the complete opposite to me. I got sucked into a pace that was like too slow. And then I finally put the gas pedal down, and I couldn't redline because like nothing was fast enough. Like the cycle time of the burpees was long enough where I didn't really get out of breath, even like running some faster shuttle sprints. So like I feel like I left like legitimately probably like 20 plus reps on the table just because I kind of like I tried not to fall into going too fast, and I actually wound up going too slow.
Oh, wow.
And then I was really happy with my thruster score. But yeah, 1-2 punch. Like this is one where like, man, I got done. And I'm like, dude, I could have crushed my score.
You got 30
And
minutes. You can go do it again real quick. We can reconvene.
that's true. I should go knock one out. Hit it. I ended up getting 136 reps on the first part. And again, just like, man, left a lot of reps on the table there, I think. I thought I was going to be a lot more tired than I was because I did do 4 straight days of snowboarding with my brothers. They came in town on Thursday,
Yep.
and then we just snowboarded our faces off for 4 straight days. And I expected to kind of be really smoked from that. I did have a couple little cramps sneak in, but like it really wasn't that bad. And then I felt really good in the thruster. Actually, I hit a 252 thruster,
Nice.
and then went for 262. And unfortunately, like as I received the bar, my belt, like I had to borrow a belt because I didn't have any of my gear because
Right.
I'm an idiot. But I like went to catch the weight, and the belt just exploded. It just, the Velcro undid itself. So I really do think I could have been able to hit that 262, but I was happy with it. I hate feeling like I've left a ton of reps on the table, but that definitely happened for the first part.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, it's a learning lesson, dude. You're not competing for
Yeah.
game spot here. You're doing it for fun.
And
So
then another thing I will say is I am super happy with the advice that we gave for how to grip, like changing your
mhm.
grip. I was changing my grip. I would do, pronated, supinated. I didn't do any stagger grip because that's a little weird for me. But I just kept switching off the way I was gripping the bar and like making sure that I used my arms to do a big jump. It felt great. I mean, it
Yeah.
was like again. It was I like surprised myself. It's like 13 minutes into the workout. I'm like, oh. I feel way too good right now to be in the middle of an open workout. So I wish I had someone to actually pace with. I was just myself doing it. Um, and actually, what's interesting is I came in to do the workout and I got warmed up, and then there was another guy there doing it, and it was Justin Berg, the head of
Nice.
CrossFit Games. So I actually judged him. So that
Did
was
you did you beat him?
I did. I did.
Did you no rep him a few times?
We did not need any no reps. He moved
No,
well.
not even just for fun. You didn't just throw one his way just
He moved.
because.
He moved well. It was actually funny because, or two funny things. I'm sure he won't think it's funny, but like he redid the workout and he got 1 rep less on the first part. And I was trying to push him. I was like, "Dude, you got this!" And he's like, "Dude, I didn't think I had it." And then
Right.
he could have if he had pushed a little earlier. And then the thruster he ended up getting I think 2 pounds more than his original
Nice.
attempt. So it's like, oh, like which one's going to be a better score? But it was funny. I felt like a dummy because he's head of CrossFit Games, correct?
Yeah. Yeah, he's the man.
So like he's like, I'm setting up his thruster weight. He's like barking out, the thruster weight to me. Well, first he like started changing his own weight. And I'm like, dude, no, stop. What are you doing? Sit down. Like, I got it. So I changed the weight for him. And of course, I was like, I think he knows this, and I'm gonna feel really dumb saying it, but like, you don't have to go until like the last second, right? And he kind of just looks at me and nods, and I was like, yeah, all right,
Yeah, you probably
right. You kind of know, you probably know the rules pretty
probably
well.
know the rules.
But it was cool. It was cool.
You should have given him a few bro reps just to get us better seats at the games. So why didn't you work that out for us? Last year our seats were so high, man. We were like, looked like tiny little ants down on the stadium floor.
That's true. I just had no. I guess there was no reps, so that's why I didn't need to bro up. I should have just counted in twos, man. Just count the shuttle ones, like rally counting, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Justin, I don't know, man. You scored 275 on the first half. That's amazing.
Great work.
First in the world. Unreal.
Yeah.
Anything for better seats, dude. Our seats sucked last year. We got to do something about that.
Yeah. Well, we need. Hey, anyone listening who owns a CrossFit affiliate.
Well, I own an affiliate, but I'm not getting any better seats than those.
Yeah, you do. Oh, yeah, you own an affiliate. I forgot about that.
Yeah, no,
well, yeah, not... you do. Isn't it affiliates that they're the ones that get first dibs on the tickets?
They're still not much better.
Okay, well, anyone listening who gets dibs on really good CrossFit Games tickets, let me buy them from you, or else I'm just gonna sit in someone else's seats illegally, like I've done multiple years.
People think I'm in cahoots, but I'm really not because my seats suck. If I were in cahoots, I'd have better seats.
Yeah, I mean that's probably. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm pretty sure I booked the tickets last year, or my team did, and we were just lame.
You did. Yes, it was your team.
Nosebleeds.
Yeah, it was Liz. She's not with us anymore. I make it sound like she's dead.
Sore subject. Don't. Yeah, if anyone's listening, wants to be my assistant and book super dope tickets to the CrossFit Games and come to the games with us, hit me up.
This is true. I'd like to say that we did a really good job last week discussing the fact that there could be a heavy lift and I think we called it a 6-minute time cap. We ended up getting 5, but we were real close, dude.
Yeah, absolutely. Thought it was cool. I love the workout. Honestly, like looking at it, I was like, oh, this will be interesting. Actually doing it, I was like, this is a cool workout. Like, it was just different. It was new. It wasn't like deadlifts, box jumps, and push press. Like it was some new things that I think a lot of us are like, man, I haven't done a burpee pull-up workout in probably like, I don't know, forever. And the one thing though that like it frustrated me, and I knew this was gonna happen, is like the thruster standard, man. Like I understand on paper and in practice, a thruster is easy to judge, but when you're telling someone to go for a 1 rep max thruster, there's so much like little things that you can do. And there's like, I'm sure there's people who got no rep that absolutely should have been. And then people who got good reps that absolutely should have been no rep. Like even me, like for my 252 thruster, had I not seen what Patrick Vellner got away with, I probably would have no rep myself. Cause like, I got all the way to the lockout, and then to finish, I like took a step forward and then stood. It wasn't even, there wasn't really any rebound or anything, but yeah, it was like way, quote unquote better than what Vellner did on the live announcement. So like, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm counting that all day long, baby.
I have a lot of feelings about the programming of a heavy thruster. I mean, I don't have a problem with the programming. I like it in concept. I don't love competitive situations where you're doing a heavy overhead lift. I think a lot of bad things obviously can happen. And as the guy who gets those videos sent to him, I can tell you I saw quite a few of them.
Yeah.
And I didn't post any of them for the record because a lot of them made me really nervous. Mm-hmm. And to your point, I think you have a lot of people out there judging that's not their forte. And so there is a lot of ambiguity in what one person says is a rep and what others aren't. Like I've seen things posted where people are quite literally going, this guy's an asshole for posting this. This is a no rep. He needs to take that off the leaderboard. And I'm looking at it going, that's a good rep.
Right.
And it's just two different opinions. And I'm not a lifting judge by any stretch of the imagination. It's hard to judge. I mean, you've been, we were at Wadapalooza watching, your team left. Savannah was lifting.
Oh yeah, and actual weightlifting. My goodness,
and those are hard to judge. Really hard to judge.
Yeah,
I'd watch them. Get no rep or whatever they call it in lifting. You get the red flags instead of the white flags or whatever, or vice versa. Mm-hmm. And I'd be like, what the hell just happened? Like, why didn't that count? You know?
Right. Yeah.
And, you know, CrossFit has always kind of been, well, if you get it overhead, it counts in CrossFit.
Yeah, I kind of
You
wish it
know?
was like I wish it was maybe like I guess it would have been different than a lot of other standards they use, but it kind of would have been cool if it was just like, oh, you can get the bar like the only standard is like in one fluid motion you have to pass from the squat into bar overhead because then that would have a lot of like it just would have simplified the standard so that you could do some sort of weird jerk thing. But I guess that movement is weird and not something anyone's practiced. So I don't know. It was fun. I liked it. Hey, the fact that they threw in a heavy barbell and they're probably not going to have thrusters moving forward, I'm sure a lot of people are excited about that. I love thrusters, so I'm a little bummed they're not going to be showing up in a Metcon, but
Well, how do
I
you know that?
because I seriously doubt a repeat of movements will occur, but it could.
Okay. All right. We'll see.
It could. Yeah, is that your prediction? Are you saying there's going to be light thrusters too?
I'm saying I wouldn't rule it out. I think everyone out there is going, all right, we don't get thrusters again, are going to be really pissed off come Thursday when the workouts 3, 6, 9, 12, 18, 21, 27, the thrusters and chest to bar pull-ups and double unders.
I don't see it happening, man. And even the way that he announced it, he's like, normally in the open we see light thrusters, but this, now we're seeing a heavy thruster. I just don't see him repeating it. I really don't.
Well, I'm not saying that he will repeat it. I'm just saying I wouldn't sit around and count my chickens before they're hatched and think, there's no chance in hell that it's going to happen.
Sure. I'm not saying there's no chance. I'd say like trying to predict it, there's a very high probability we're going to see double unders. There's a very high probability we will see some sort of handstand something, I think. There's a very high probability of some sort of box jump or box step over or burpee box jump over or something like that.
Yeah, I could definitely see box jumps, deadlifts, and double unders.
Oh, and of course something with the dumbbell. I mean, it's on the. I would be very surprised if there wasn't a dumbbell movement.
Yeah, you could get this be a good opportunity to replace thrusters with devil's press as an example.
Mm-hmm.
Something that's really going to screw you up in that regard. So I don't know. I'm not doing it anyway, so I'm not worried about it. But
yeah.
But regardless, I'm just saying I wouldn't completely rule it out as something that could happen. But I'm with you. I don't think he will, but I wouldn't rule it out either.
No.
That's the beauty of the open, man. And anything can happen. And, if you had asked 2 weeks ago, are we going to bring muscle ups in week 1? I would have said absolutely, positively not. It won't happen.
Yeah.
And
I loved it so much. So cool.
Yeah, I thought it was cool too. But I would have at the beginning, I would have said no, because they've never, it's never been a thing. You open it with a high skill gymnastics movement and piss off half the people that don't know how to do it.
But again, it's kind of like what I've mentioned in previous podcasts is like I think they get away with that very well if you have it at the end, right? It's like, what was the year where it started off with 7 ring muscle ups? It was like, man, that really crushed it for a lot of people. I think that was 2014. No, 2015. Sorry. And that like really, killed most people's dreams and hopes. But when you put the advanced stuff, like for instance, handstand walks, the end of the workout. So like only a certain caliber of athlete is getting to that movement that a lot of people, struggle with. I loved the fact that it was a progressive workout. It's like, you don't get to the really hard stuff until the very end, which I loved.
Well, give me your thoughts about this week coming up. I know we don't know what the movements are.
Yeah.
But we know what the movements haven't been. And so if you had to start working on so we know we haven't had box jumps, we haven't had deadlifts. We haven't had anything, handstandy. And we haven't had dumbbells. So you got, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday morning to work on a few things. What would you prioritize this week?
I think that I'm sorry, my dogs just got here. Hi, everybody. I think we're going to see something fast and hot. Like, I feel like we haven't done a workout that truly burns per se. And assuming that they've, tested 23.2, they probably knew that it wasn't necessarily like a burner, like we've seen
Right.
another open workout. So like I'm kind of thinking like some sort of 10-minute AMRAP or maybe a 10-minute like ladder of some sort where it ascends, the rep scheme ascends as you go on. But I'm expecting an absolute like sprint. We have not had a sprint yet, and I'm expecting a sprint in a big way.
Yeah, I could see Bruce, hey Bruce, in the comments is something fast and short, just like most games athletes. But it would not shock me to see us get, we've had a couple times where it's, you do it's 4 minutes, and if you complete the 4 minutes, you get another 4 minutes. That wouldn't shock me. So it'll be really short for a lot of people
Yeah,
and really long for the elite.
that's true. That's true. I mean, I love those style of workouts. But yeah, I'm just it, I'm not a huge fan of guessing. It just kind of seems arbitrary. But now that we have all of this data from the first 2 weeks, like if I had to be a betting person, I'm going to go with some sort of fast sprint style workout, potentially for time, right? Like a workout that the elites will be able to do in like the 8 to 9 minute range, right? They'll be able to sprint, get sub 10, and then, other people will have to take longer, but something where there is a sprint involved, definitely some double unders, and probably something upside down, something handstand based.
Yeah, one thing that we've been doing that my coach has been having me do specifically to work on these kind of sprint without sprinting that you could do without redlining between now and Thursday is she's had me doing a lot of 2 minutes on, 1 minute off, 3 minutes on, 1 minute off style workouts. And that's allowing me to recover, obviously, in that minute rest period, but allowing you to go hard in that either 2 minute or 3 minute segment. And you really can throw kind of anything in as long as it's a quickish movement. So, like an example of that, last week I did 10 rounds of the Chief. You familiar with the Chief? It's
Yeah,
three
I
power
love that
cleans.
workout.
Yeah, three power cleans, 6 push-ups, 9 air squats. So I would do that every other round for 3 minutes on with 1 minute rest. And on the alternate rounds, I do 3 minutes of standing C2 bike for meters. And so it's just, again, like practicing getting up, kind of close to that red line, but you're not redlining. And when you get right to that point and then you get a break, and I think that's a good opportunity for people if you want to test something for the next couple of days of, taxing your system, but not blowing yourself up before Thursday or Friday. I like that rep scheme. And you can, we've been throwing a lot of stuff in to do that. It can be just about anything. You can do rounds of Cindy, you can do DT is another one that fits well within that time frame. But it's really been helping me kind of for my training now where I'm trying to stay at that kind of 70% of my max because I'm still trying to recover my lungs. It's been perfect for that because I don't have to redline, but I'm really starting to be able to regulate my heart rate and see what it feels like. So when I
Yeah.
am ready to step back into that red line, I'll be ready to do so.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, interval work is, I mean, shoot, if you've ever listened to what Matt Frazier says and Rich Froning say about like the way that their training goes, like they essentially only do interval work
Right.
for most of the year because it allows you, it exposes you to the clock, right? Like if you're racing against the clock, it pushes you to a level like you get to see your heart rate go very, very high and then see how fast you can recover. It ends up boding really well to, carrying over to being really good at exercising competitively is that interval work.
Yeah. You can do the same with double unders to some degree. Like you can do, a minute on, minute off,
Yeah.
particularly if you need to work on I still think double unders. I mean, the double unders are the one move that have shown up for 11 or 12 years
Yeah.
in a row.
No, if there's one piece of advice I can give every single person out there, it's make sure your double unders are dialed in for this weekend
Yeah.
because it's coming and it's something that I think you can develop a lot quicker than people realize. Like if you practice double unders for 20 minutes the next couple days or 15 minutes the next few days, you can make a ton of progress since it's more coordination. Like once you finally like get the beat and it starts to click, then all of a sudden you've made a major breakthrough of your double unders. You're not going to get stronger this week. You're not going to necessarily improve your engine this week. But one thing you definitely can do is learn double unders in just a few days.
How many did you get a chance to watch any? I mean, you said you judged uh J- Justin, so Justin Berg judged him today. Do you get a chance to watch any other athletes do any of these open workouts or judge anyone else?
No, I mean, I haven't really done much judging or watching any of like the high level athletes go other than during the announcement. So no, really haven't seen too much.
God, I ended up judging several and getting to coach several. Kind of my one, almost my first foray into live coaching, as opposed to just giving opinions on this thing. And I feel like I'm like starting to see some commonalities between the people that do well. And the one thing I'm noticing, and now I'm like kind of judging myself for this, is the people that have done better than I thought they would in these open workouts were coachable during the workout. Meaning, like I would see them making a mistake, and I would coach them on the spot, and they'd immediately change it and start improving.
Yeah.
And I don't do that. I'm a bad student. I feel like I'm starting to feel guilty as an athlete, like that I'm not listening specifically to my coach's inner workout coaching. Like I think I know better, and so was a big aha to me that, there are moments if so I guess my advice here is like, if you're going to do the open and you have a good coach that's counting, it's not just your buddy giving you pro reps.
Yeah.
I think you should be asking for that. Hey, if you see something, please tell me on the spot so I can correct it. Like ask for coaching advice before you go in and ask them to spot it while you're doing it, and then actually listen to it. Like have a plan and follow it and let your coach guide you through it.
Yeah, Justin had a score that I won't share his specific score because I didn't ask him if I could do that, but he had a score that he's like, hey, this is where I got last time. I want to beat that. If you see me getting close, please like give me some encouragement to let me know that I can get there. And I did, and he ended up not getting there, but whatever.
Get back, coach. That's all you.
Must not have been a good coach.
Right.
But one thing I realized in the middle of the workout that I should have, I think a lot of people don't necessarily allow themselves to get coached because some people are like, oh, they're in the middle of the workout. I don't want to throw them off. But one thing I was thinking about mid 23.2 was I wish I had asked my judge or, maybe a spectator to let me know if I was over pulling my pull-ups. And also to let me know if they saw a significant decrease in my shuttle speed, because I realized like the difference between getting your chin above the bar and like almost doing a chest to bar, it's a lot of time and it's a lot of energy. And it's something that I realized like watching my video, I was way over, like I was doing so far beyond the standard that it probably saved, it hurt my time and it hurt my, it probably hurt my strength and endurance. And then another thing is like, just like whether it's your judge, I know like in an actual competition, the judge isn't there to coach you, but in the open, sure. Ask your judge, like, hey, if you see anything that I can fix, or if you see anything that doesn't require tons of explanation, if my judge had just come to me and said, Ben, you're over pulling on the pull-ups, like 5 inches lower, I would have been like, oh, wow, okay, that'll save me a lot of time. And it probably would have made my cycle time quicker had I sought that coaching rather than looking at my video and just being like, oh, shoot, I way overdid it there.
Right.
So I think you have to just be really clear with the people around you that like, if you are the athlete that will accept coaching mid-workout, let people know that. Because for me, I don't tend to coach people mid-workout because I've seen it throw people off in a big way. Or like they're like, what? What did you say? And then I try to explain it more and they're like, huh? It's just like there's like back and forth of like, okay, never mind. But if you are like, hey, if you see anything that I can fix, simply please let me know. I'll be coachable. Then they're not going to be afraid to give you that advice.
Well, that's a good point about not shouting cues to people that are far too complex, because that's where you do start getting into, now you're having a back and forth and you don't want that. Like the cues I were given were very short and specific. Step up into the burpee, like step up with your right leg. Now step up with your left leg. Use a reverse grip on this next pull up. Take a 5-second break, like really specific things. I certainly wasn't, nor am I qualified to give, really detailed coaching on the heavy lift as an example, just not my forte. But I do think, kind of the same for coaches. Don't be afraid to give that coaching. And I think often like coaches feel like they can't do it, to your point, because there's going to be a back and forth. And what I was noticing from these athletes, mostly because several of them are really new to CrossFit, I felt like they were working harder than they needed to because they felt like they couldn't stop because I was watching them. You know what I mean? And so they were negatively impacting their score and not,
Because of the John Woolley effect, they were like, I can't slow down for John Woolley.
or for anyone. It wasn't because of me. It's like anyone sitting there watching them, because these are new athletes. They've never been in the open before. They've
Yeah.
never had someone stand over them with a clipboard and literally count reps.
Yeah.
Because I'm trying to be a good judge. Like, I'm counting out loud. I don't want them to have to count these reps because it's a lot of reps, even, when you don't get a ton of rounds in this one.
Well, I think this was one of the, if I had to count this workout myself, it would have been a train wreck. like trying to keep up with the shuttle runs because it's such a slow cycle time, and like trying to keep up with the burpees. I was like, this is the perfect workout for me to have a judge that counts out loud every single rep. But yeah, I think having the pressure of people counting and then people watching, and also knowing that you're going to be judged on your score. That's why, like, in every single open video that I make, I'm like, hey guys, don't come out too hot. You're going to be tempted to come out way too hot, because all these people, especially the newbies, they get all excited and then they're just like, I feel invincible. And then they, run into a brick wall.
Yep. Hey, someone I missed it in the comments, but I wanted to ask you this question because I saw it. Here it was. Brian said he wouldn't be surprised if we do wall facing handstand push-ups and a ton of single unders with box jump overs and dumbbell snatches. So the wall facing handstand push-ups, it's something we've never done before. And obviously you've only got 2 days. Is there something you could practice on that between now and then at a minimum, just to get comfortable upside down?
I mean, okay, so if your issue is being comfortable upside down, then wall facing handstand push-ups are probably not in your equation, right? So like, I'd say the wall facing strict handstand push-up is more something that people who can do the other two types of handstand push-ups already with a decent amount of proficiency should practice, because it could pop up. For whatever reason, I don't think it will, but it could. It definitely could, right, especially because we haven't done a handstand push-up yet. So if you're having issues getting up on the wall, then like being able to translate that into being comfortable on the wall and doing strict wall facing handstand push-ups, I think could be potentially a stretch. But if you're someone who can do handstand push-ups already, whether that's kipping or especially strict, because you have to have strict handstand push-ups if you plan to do wall facing strict handstand push-ups, you absolutely should try out both, kicking up on the wall. You can kind of do like the side, a cartwheel looking kick up, or do a wall walk, and then do some potentially like some negatives or something like that to like a target. So rather than going like full range of motion, you could try lowering yourself down and just touching your head and then finding a way to drop down. I just don't see it necessarily being programmed, because I feel like it could be introduced maybe on the back end of like a wall workout, since a wall walk does put you in position for that standard. Like, that's really curious, is like they could add in, I wouldn't see it in the beginning of the workout, but towards the end, like once you get a certain amount of wall walks, once you get a certain amount of wall walks, I could see like, wall walk and then plus one handstand push-up in between each round or something like that. So long story short, if you have handstand push-ups, it would be a good time to potentially practice strict wall-facing handstand push-ups. If you don't have handstand push-ups yet, I wouldn't worry about the wall-facing kind. I would worry about just like maybe practice some kipping ones, maybe practice just kicking up on the wall, maybe practice some negatives to work on your strict, just feeling the positioning for a strict handstand push-up. It's just, again, it's an advanced movement, so I don't necessarily think everyone should be practicing it yet.
Let's say hypothetically handstand push-ups show up. Forget the reverse facing one.
Yeah.
And we just get good old-fashioned handstand push-ups, and they're 10,000 different ways they've asked us to do it in the 12 years we've had the open.
It's a square root of your femur length divided by the space between your nostrils.
Yeah, well, look, I mean, it's a hard movement for some. And I guess the question is, I think where a lot of people struggle is they don't know where to take breaks. It is the one movement. I know there's probably more than one, but it's absolutely the one. When you're done doing them, you're done. Like, sure, you cannot come once you hit the wall, you cannot come back. There's just no coming back from it. Any tips around what those breaks should look like for the average Joe CrossFitter?
When you say breaks, are you talking about within the rep, or are you talking about like within a set?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I'll give you some examples. Like, I can do pretty big sets, but in the early days, like if I did more than 5, I was going to burn it. Like, I had a max number I would get to, and then I was done. That
Yeah.
number was south of 30 for sure. It was closer to 20 than 30 for sure. Um, in total, regardless of how I
Sure.
broke them up. You know,
So when it comes to those kind of like muscular fatigue, like there's certain movements, and handstand push-ups is definitely one of them where your heart rate might be totally fine, but you have no lockout power and you're done. You're not don't even feel like you're working out that much. You're so blown up in the shoulders that you can't get it done. It's really important in workouts like that. You don't just like leave a rep in the tank. It's like you leave 3 to 5 reps in the tank. So each set that you're doing, you need to drop down and say, I could have done 3 or 4 more, but I'm not going to, because I'm not going to be tempted to take it to that level. And that's what happens with a lot of people is like, let's say it's a set of 21 handstand push-ups, and they'll like open up with this set of 10 and then 5, and then now they're blown up. They're completely destroyed. And then they have to, really, really struggle to get the rest. It'd be so much better to take that initial set of 10 and do 5, and then maybe 5 again, and then maybe 4, and then 4, and then 3, and like always leaving several reps in the tank. That's just going to allow you to get back up and accumulate reps rather than hitting that dreaded wall where you just can't do it anymore. And then secondarily, when it comes to actually doing the rep, with strict handstand push-ups, if that was programmed, you have to make sure you're not resting at the bottom of the rep, because you've lost all of your tension and it's going to be really, really difficult to get yourself back up. So when you're lowering your head down to the mat, you should think touch and go. It's like maybe not bounce and go, but just a touch and go. Like our goal is to tap our head onto the target and immediately press back up under tension. That's really important for strict handstand push-ups. When it comes for kipping handstand push-ups, is actually the opposite. Kipping handstand push-ups, when you're down, when your head is down and you're in that tripod position, like that's the time where you can take a little bit of a break, because you're able to relax your shoulders, and then you can do the kip to get you out of the hole and lock out the rep. I have obviously a bunch of videos on that, but that's what I would say about resting for handstand push-ups. Always leave several reps in the tank, not just 1 or 2, because once you hit that, if you accidentally hit that wall, you're done. And then when it comes to doing the reps, strict, never rest at the bottom. Kipping handstand push-ups, you can rest at the bottom, and that's actually a decent idea.
I think most people probably know where their threshold is. I would imagine, I would hope, for handstand push-ups. Meaning, like I used to know my number right now. It's like I can do more than 30, and then it starts to get squirrely. I think a lot of people know if that number's 10 or 20 or whatever. Is there a sense for you, like you've talked in the past about having to do singles as an example on chest to bar as a way to reduce fatigue and keep your grip from going out? Are singles ever a good method for handstand push-ups? And if so, like when?
Uh, I really haven't strategized handstand push-up singles. Like it works so well for bar movements. And the reason being is because like as soon as you're done the rep, and that's whether the toes hit the bar or the chin passes the vertical or the horizontal plane of the pull-up bar, you can relax. You just let go. The issue with handstand push-ups is like, you know, if you're doing singles, you now have to kick up, support yourself. And remember, we have to start at lockout. So you're kicking up, you're supporting yourself at lockout, lowering yourself all the way down, coming all the way back up. And then, once you get the lockout, you can fall down. There's like quite a bit more work involved if you do singles compared to if you're able to string them together. That's not necessarily the case when it comes to pull-ups or a lot of these
It's more like a push press. You don't want to put the bar down. So it's kind of the same thing. Like once you're inverted, you want to stay inverted
yeah,
until you
yeah.
can't.
That's my thought.
Right.
Although, let's say doing 2 unbroken gets you too close to your threshold. It like
Right.
gets you too close to that blow up point, then potentially the time that it takes for you to drop off the wall, shake it out, kick back up, do a rep, that could help you stay below that red line and not blow up. So it could work for some people. I just think it would be better to rest and then knock out a set of 3 or 4 than to do 4 singles. But again, this isn't really something that I've tested. This is just something that I don't know. That's how I do my handstand push-up
Yeah.
workouts, at least.
Any movement combination? We talked about this last week, but any movement combinations this week you would maybe put together in lighter format to potentially be prepared. Like as an example, handstand push-ups and deadlifts. Like Diane's kind of notoriously nasty for blowing people's backs up. We've had that, that combination in several opens.
Yeah, like because of that, I probably wouldn't recommend practicing too much of it, especially with a heavy one. Like, I don't know. I'm of the mindset of like, all right, if I have a deadlift, handstand, push-up workout, if I do a bunch of deadlifts and handstand push-ups to practice, I'm probably just gonna blow my back up beforehand.
Sure.
Like I think the movements that would probably help us, like in terms of pairings, it's like maybe do some deadlifts and box jumps. Um, I would probably do some double unders and handstand push-ups, or double unders and wall walks, like those kind of pairings. I would do maybe a dumbbell snatch and a burpee box jump over. Like it's just like, hey, what pairings have been common in the past? Maybe we'll see that again, but we haven't seen that in the first two workouts. Like there haven't been like traditional pairings.
Right.
Because of that, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a couplet of some sort for this last one, or maybe a triplet. I don't know. It's gonna be really interesting to see, but just basically go to the list of movements. Like you can just Google it, like CrossFit open movements, most common movements, something like that. Whether it's the WOD Prep article or the tons of other articles that are out there, just go down the list and like just practice a few reps at least under fatigue of the movements that haven't showed up yet. So handstand push-ups, double unders, box jumps, burpee box jumps, wall walks, things like that.
It's funny you say that, because I was going to add that as, doing it under fatigue. People will hate this advice, but I swear to God, I think it's the best advice I could give you. If you have the ability, go get an assault bike and then pick whatever movement you hate. Hit the assault bike hard and then do the movement you hate under that high fatigue off the assault bike, or a C2 bike, like something, whatever's going to get your heart rate super high. Mm-hmm. So it needs to be one of the others. So like an example, do 21 calories on the assault bike and then get off and do 30 double unders or 50 double unders, and then get back on the bike and do 21 and 50 again.
Yep. It's going to hit way different than just picking up the rope and be like, oh yeah, I'm good at double unders.
Yeah. Or do the assault bike for 21 calories and then do 5 handstand push-ups and then 21 and 5. That way you're not blowing your shoulders out, but you can feel what they feel like with a high heart rate under serious fatigue. Because I promise you, a handstand push-up with a high heart rate is far different than what you're going to see, if they show up first in a workout, for instance, and you'll thank me for that later. And if they show up at the end of a workout, you'll thank me for that too.
Yep. And basic bottom line is everyone's going to be thanking John. So thank you.
You'll all be thanking me because I'm a genius.
It's the ring. It's the meme ring.
You'll all be thanking me because I'm not doing the workout either way. I'm just going to sit around and silently judge everyone. It's going to be great. Actually, I'm not judging anyone this week. We're going to the Arnold.
Oh, yeah?
We're going to watch slap fighting.
Slap fighting? That's at the Arnold?
Have you seen slap fighting?
Is that where you just try to knock the other person out?
Yes, it's amazing. It's the most amazing. I wish I'd pulled up some video for this so you could watch it.
Darn it. I mean, it sounds, I've definitely seen some footage. It's like you hold on to like a pole, or like you hold on to something, and the standard is you basically just like wind up and slap the other person as hard as possible. Yeah. And the other person, like, I guess if you get knocked out, it's letting go of that thing, right? Or something.
Dude, it's unreal. Like last year we went. First of all, the Arnold is like stepping onto another planet.
Yeah.
Like imagine like every fitness modality, and I'm going to put fitness in air quotes because a lot of it's not even fitness.
Right.
A lot, like they have these guys dressed up in armor just beating the hell out of each other with like swords and and
it's called LARPing, and it's a big thing. Okay.
Yeah, it's a huge thing. I watched somebody get sent to the hospital from that. But slap fighting was there, right? And they got power lifters and bodybuilders and CrossFit and Peloton and everyone, right? So we're just walking around.
Peloton there? You just sit there and ride a bike?
I guess, like, just anyone's into fitness is there, right?
Yeah.
So we're just walking around minding our own business, and they've got a jumbotron, and we see two women like face to face, and they're like got chalk on their face. They're chalking up their hands. I'm like, what is going on? And then this one woman just slaps the F out of the other one right in the face, just like as hard as you can imagine. I'm like, oh shit, we're sticking around for this. So of course we stick around. And the women were interesting, but they're women. They don't hit as hard as men. So they're not really knocking each other out. They're slapping each other real hard, which is interesting to watch. Don't get me wrong. But then the men come up and these are some big boys, like really big boys. And the first one we watched, this dude reared back, and it was one slap, lights out. I thought the dude was dead. Like I'm not kidding you, dude. The second he got slapped, dude was on his
Everybody's like,
back.
he did.
Yeah, it was insane. So of
Sounds
course we're going back. Of
awesome.
course,
Sounds like some Ohio shit, man. Like that's
it's
what that sounds like.
it's some real Ohio shit. It's amazing. It's absolutely
Um,
amazing.
well, fantastic. Are you gonna like? There obviously is CrossFit there. Is there like, will some sort of Friday night lights be happening there? Maybe.
Yeah. So we're going to go. Where are we going? Sorry, I'm still like, I'm giving myself abs with all this coughing. It's ridiculous. We're going to go to Christy Aramo's gym. Tom, one of my gym partners, is going to do 23.3 there with their group on Friday, and I'm going to watch. And then I'm sure we'll see the affiliate group, and there's some other CrossFit stuff going on at the Arnold. So we'll see plenty of CrossFitters,
Nice.
which will be fun. I'm also going to get a chance to see Rob from Hard Work Pays Off Strong, Rob Kearney. He's competing in strongman,
Nice.
and I haven't seen him in person since the game. I had him on the other podcast not that long ago. We should have him on here actually to talk about strength training because he's the man. Yeah, he is totally the man. So I'll get a chance to see that, and hopefully some of the Hard Work Pays Off team, which will be there together, and we'll watch some of the Olympic lifting. Hopefully, I mean, it's always, like you just see these amazing feats of strength while you're there. It's like really kind of unreal. But the fun part's the people watching.
Yeah, people watching. So people who are just probably, I can only imagine how juiced to the ears everyone is there, or a lot of people are from various aspects of fitness, CrossFit not included, or CrossFit also included. But I have a feeling it's probably just, I can only imagine the amount of skin showing in the crowd, and just all these super fit people walking around, just posturing, just walking around.
It's interesting because the strongman people like like Rob are just big. There's big boys.
Yeah. Units.
They eat a lot. They're just big. The bodybuilders are a completely different breed.
Yeah.
It's all about glamour muscles and show. And so those guys are always walking around in like the little
spaghetti strap, like
tops. Yeah. And they're showing off, their skin. And usually they'll have, whoever's with them, their girlfriend, significant other, whatever, same thing. Like, and, they'll look just like all tanned up and, barely any clothes on, and it's just walking around with bags of free protein samples. So like,
and then the CrossFitters are just walking around just like with like blood on their hands.
Yeah.
Just like barbell hickeys on their neck, just mangled up.
It's just funny. It was like a few years ago, CrossFitters would have been considered the freak of that group. And now you're walking around like, oh yeah, we're douchebags, but we all are. Like everyone in the place is, so it's
Except
really
for the slap fighters. They're the salt of the earth.
Oh, dude, I'm telling you, I'm sending you videos of slap fighting.
I can't wait. Please text me. I want live action, and then also LARPing. Please, I want to see some LARPing as well.
Lots of LARPing. It's called LARPing.
Yeah, live action role play. And I saw the other day in Denver, in a local park, I saw like a whole group of people LARPing. Obviously, I sat and watched for a long time. And I kid you not, like they were beating the crap out of each other with these like foam swords and shields. Like it was legit. And like, I mean, it was awesome. I was really excited.
All right. Well, the dudes at the Arnold were not using foam. They're like,
were they jousting?
Dude, they're like real metal swords. I'm telling you, I saw this dude get carted off to the hospital, like literally on a cart.
That's cool. Was it jousting? Did they actually joust?
No, they just got battle axes and swords, and they're wearing full body armor and helmets and just smacking the shit out of each other.
That's awesome.
And like there's no padding in those things. You get hit in the head with a metal broadsword, even with and you're wearing a metal helmet.
That's the definition of having your bell rung.
Yeah, it's terrible, but it's so much fun to watch.
So cool. Yeah, awesome. Yeah, well, it sounds like you're gonna have a very exciting weekend.
Yeah, it should be. Should be good stuff.
And hopefully it'll be an exciting weekend because 23.3 is going to be awesome. I mean, I have to admit, I've really enjoyed the first 2 weeks. One, because I love the first workout. And then the second workout, I was like, yeah, okay, interesting. And then having done it, I was like, this was great. Like, I loved it. It was such a unique workout. It was something that I don't think anyone knew how they were going to feel. Like my guess is that if Roman and Pat Vellner redid the workout, they would absolutely obliterate their scores because it's just one of those things where like
Sure.
you kind of don't know how it's going to feel. And of course, that's what happened to me. It's like I got into it and I was just like, huh, this isn't feeling as hard as I thought it was.
Mm.
Like, oops, I'm 13 minutes in and I should have been going way harder this whole time. My bad. Um, so I thought it was really cool, and I'm very excited to see what pops up in the third week. Hopefully, another new movement. That'd be really cool.
When you look back on the open, I know we're only 2 weeks in, and it's probably a better question for next week, but I'll ask anyway. After 2 weeks, do you any gaps in your training, or you just think, hey, I just learned something about shuttle runs?
Um, man, that's hard to say. Gaps in my training. I
Or,
just
or
think,
either week, because we had muscle ups in week one and
yeah,
rowing
I'm
and
trying to think about that. I think, the main gap in my training, and it's been that way for a long time, which it's like part of the reason I didn't want to continue competing is because I would have had to face the gap in my training. It's just like the engine stuff. It's just like the like being able to really grind out a mecon that doesn't have high skill is something that I don't enjoy, and therefore I actually don't perform that well in it. So like the shuttle sprints and the burpee pull-ups, there wasn't too much skill involved. It was just like grindy work. I was able to kind of maybe make up for with the heavy thruster. But just I'd say just being able to grind through things at a higher heart rate, like the first week, like the ring muscle ups felt great. I was just kind of like blown up by the time I got there. But I also didn't leave myself enough time there, I think was the main problem.
right.
So if I was okay sucking for a while, if I was okay like embracing the suck for a while and got to the rings faster, I think that would have been a lot better. So I think just overall for me, it's the engine stuff. It's
Yeah.
it's low skill, high grit and engine. That is not my forte, but the heavy barbell, high skill, that's where I shine.
I mean, I haven't done both of them. I did the first one and didn't do the second one yet. But from watching them and kind of self-diagnosing how I thought I would have done on the second one and how I know I did on the first one, I should be doing more front squats for
Hmm.
sure. I don't think I would have done well on the heavy thruster. I don't do enough front squats to do a super heavy clean, and that's something I need to start addressing quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think muscle ups. That's just something you have to practice regularly, and I don't practice them regularly. I'm very protective of my shoulder, so I'm right now kind of working through what do I need to do to address that, so I don't have to be scared of muscle ups. Because I don't think you just give them up. I think you can address it another way. So I think that's something I have to look at. Um, and the other stuff we already do a lot of. So I felt really good actually about my in hindsight, my initial score would have been good enough for top 10% in my
Nice.
in my age group. So I felt okay about that. Also considering I wasn't very healthy at the time.
Yeah.
And I probably, even though I haven't done it, I'm going to make an educated guess. I probably should be doing more strict pull-ups if I want to get good at burpee pull-ups. I got to do a lot of burpees, and I realize a burpee pull-up is different, but I don't do a lot of strict pull-ups.
Mm-hmm.
And kipping pull-ups are far slower. So if you want to be faster at that one, you have to be able to do a lot of strict pull-ups, and I don't do them that often.
Sure.
So I don't know. Front squats and pull-ups, those are two I probably need to start addressing
And
sooner
I
than
think
later.
I think what we're going to see, because I was actually just opened the app to see if my score had been validated yet, to see where I sat percentage wise. But that's the interesting thing is like the way to identify the gaps in your training is like I'm kind of waiting to see, where did I stack up on 23.2 versus 23.1 percentage wise for each workout. And that's what I would use is, even though I might have felt great in this workout, if I'm, 78th percentile compared to, I think the first week I was 90 something, then I clearly am like, oh, there's a huge gap here that the data shows rather than just like my vibes. You know what I mean? So I'm interested to see where it stacks up. It looks like it's not updated yet, but I'm excited to see it.
Yeah, the only advice I'd give anyone here, like, and what I'm trying to do for myself, and I'll have a different opinion next week on this too. But I think that for me, the lesson of the open isn't how do I fix all of these things that I need to get better at. It's like, can I fix one or two things that will address more things, like this front
Will be a
squat?
domino.
Yeah, like this front squat issue will address thrusters, obviously front squats, it'll address cleans, like
Yep,
it'll air squats, it'll help you in so many different ways if I can fix that one thing,
absolutely.
you
Yeah,
know.
there's a lot of lead domino things. Positioning, like mobility, right? A lot of like someone's like, oh, I need to work on snatches and overhead squats and cleans and this and that and so big terrible at all these other things, handstand push-ups. I can't lock it out. It's like that lead domino for a lot of people is just like being able to get in the positions comfortably, which comes back to mobility. And again, I don't think quote unquote doing mobility helps, but it's more of like spending more time in the positions that you're not good at being in so that you don't have to rush out of them very quickly. Like the person who can spend time at the bottom of an overhead squat and feel totally fine, like myself, can snatch a lot of weight. The person who at the bottom of an overhead squat with a PVC is like trembling and wants to fall over, that's someone that's probably not going to be able to snatch that much weight. So it's like a lot of these lead dominoes, I think, are you kind of have to peel back a few layers of the onion before you can identify what is your true lead domino. Another example would be like, I'm so terrible at gymnastics. I can't do kipping pull-ups. I can't do ring muscle ups. I can't really do, tosa bar that well. Like and they're focusing on the high skill gymnastics when we found this with a ton of athletes. The number one most important thing is strict pull-ups. How many strict pull-ups can you do? Show me someone that can do 10 plus strict pull-ups, and I'm going to show you an athlete who can do very well in a lot of the gymnastics movements. So a lot of times the lead domino is a very unsexy thing, but if you can identify it and then buy a WOD prep course to solve it, or do something to fix that lead domino, so many other things get a lot easier.
Dude, I make fun of you a lot for the WOD prep courses. I know that. But I've had so many people during this open say to me, Ben got me through whatever. And I'm like, shut up. You're going to blow up his
I
ego.
hate
Like,
you.
I don't want to hear this. You guys are going to blow up his ego, and it's big enough as it is. But
Maybe that
like,
heart. I'm sending everyone hearts right
I
now.
know, but seriously, they did. And I think that's, a testament to all those videos you have put together. So good for you, man.
Well, I appreciate it, and I mean, it's the whole lead domino idea is something that I preach a lot in via email and to my athletes, and to all of the people who are inside of our courses or just watching the free videos. Like you don't have to buy anything from us. You can watch all the free stuff that we have. The key is figuring out like what is the one thing that's going to make other things easier. And if you can figure that one thing out, then you're off to the races.
Well, here, Courtney has one. Maybe she has a lead domino you can identify. We'll just answer a question. Low skill and low weight WODs that are cardio burners. I suck. How do I get better with this?
So
how do you fix an engine? What's your lead domino for an engine? I'm guessing that's what you mean.
I mean, the lead domino for engine work is going to be doing monostructural engine workouts. So like, basically the way that we do it inside of our endless engine course is like you set a baseline for a few different measurements, like 5K run and maybe a 2K row and what else? An air bike thing of some sort. So you set all these benchmarks and then you do pacing work to slowly but surely improve your pace and then retest. And then you're going to be a lot better. You're going to get a better score because you've done lots of engine focused workouts where you're working at paces that are just below your like max effort. So like rather than rowing at my 2K max effort, I might row at 90% of my 2K row max effort, so on and so forth. So you get more exposure. So just like, the way to get better at strict pull-ups or even a high skill movement like ring muscle ups, the way to get better at a lot of those things is to spend more time practicing the ring muscle up transitions or spend more time getting strong with your strict pull-ups. The way we get better at engine work and grunt work, even if that grunt work looks like, burpees over the box and dumbbell snatches, I promise you that if you improve your engine with that monostructural bike run row, then that's going to carry over to a lot of the, grunt focused engine workouts. So a lot of that comes back to, like John said, assault bike, like a rower of some sort, running. Like what if you can get really good at those? That's why we see a lot of these people who are really good at grunt work and good at the engine workouts, even if they don't involve running, biking, or rowing. They're really good at those things, and it carries over to being good at burpees and being good at the super annoying box jump, dumbbell carryover things. Like all the grunt work carries over from that monostructural stuff. I think that's what I think.
Yeah.
But that being said, that is probably a question that I am least qualified to answer because I haven't done it myself and my team has done it, right? So that's why like my team made Endless Engine because I'd be such a fraud if I made it because I don't have an Endless Engine and I realize that's a weakness of mine. But admittedly, I'm not necessarily actively trying to attack that weakness anymore.
Yeah, but I think it's good advice, and like that run row bike, finding ways to work that in, I think are important. Like I've been doing another like kind of rep scheme, for lack of a better term, that Jen's been having us do, is you'll do um, in a 5 minute window. So we'll do the full hour. I'm not advising most people do the full hour, but we'll do 6 minute windows, 5 minutes of work, 1 minute of rest. And in the 5 minutes, you'll do, let's just say, 30 burpee box jump overs. And in the remaining time until 5 minutes, you row.
Mm-hmm.
So once you finish the box jump overs, you move to row, or it might be 30 cleans and then you're rowing, or something else and rowing. The point being, like, you're always trying to get back to the row,
Mm-hmm.
and you're recovering on the rower, and you're with the mindset being you're recovering on something that you're trying to build your engine on, like something that you normally hate. Like I don't love to sit there and row, but if I have to do it for 2 minutes, I can do it for 2 minutes. And then when you've done that now for 10 rounds, now you've put in 20 minutes of rowing.
Yeah.
And now you're comfortable on it. And it no longer feels like grunt work anymore. It feels like I'm building it. So when you have to go do a 20-minute test, you've been there before. You felt it.
And on that note, one more thing that I'd be silly not to say is in Courtney's example, like low skill, low weight, cardio burners suck, right? That's the exact word that she used. I'm terrible at it. So much of that engine work and that grunt work comes back to your mind, not so much your actual cardio engine. So having a good cardio engine helps, right? But so much of that engine work revolves around the internal self dialogue that you have and also your mental strength. Like if you bring to me someone who has arguably the best engine in the entire world, but has no mental strength, they're probably not going to do that well, right? So I think oftentimes we underestimate how important having a very strong mental game and that mental game, like having worked with Dawn Fletcher of Driven Mind Training. I love her so much. She's like kind of the goat, the original, the OG of mental strength training for CrossFit athletes. She just talks about like how with a lot of her even highest level games athletes, it's just like connecting with your why and then positive self-talk mid-workout. It's like you do those two things and it's going to help pull you through a lot of those really, really gnarly, grindy stuff. So I would imagine that Courtney, in our example here, in 23.2a, if the whole time you're thinking, I hate this, this is terrible, I'm so bad at running, I hate burpees, right? Like that internal self-talk is only going to perpetuate a worse performance.
I don't even know Courtney, and I know that was a terrible impression. I'm positive of it. No, I get what you're saying.
That wasn't a knock on you. You never know what's going to come out of my mouth.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying, and I agree with that. I think that's the whole point, though, of why you have to practice this engine piece and spend time doing the grunt work, is because once you've been there, it is far easier to have positive mental mindset. Like I've done so many horrible WODs. Like I looked at this 14 and 15-minute open workout. I'm like, it's only 14 minutes. How hard can it be? Like I know it's hard, and I don't want to downplay Boz's programming because it's terrific programming, but it's still only 14 or 15 minutes. Like you're going to survive if you've done an hour-long workout before that's just grueling, and so you have to be there sometimes to do it. And I think that's the value of that grunt work, of just getting in and doing assault bike sprints for 35 minutes, or getting on the rower and rowing a 10K, or whatever the kind of grunt work of the day is, because it just makes everything else seem easier.
I still remember doing, this is just an example, back when I was actually competitive and trying to make it to the CrossFit Games, I followed the old school like competition Invictus programming, right? There was only like 3 or 4 people doing comp programming and it was all free. So me and my boys were following Invictus, and now I'm friends with CJ Martin. But I remember Wednesdays kind of like leading into this open cycle, he would do these 30-minute EMOMs, where it's 30 minutes and each freaking minute of it was like you had 3 different movements and you did 10 rounds. EMOM, and it was 30 minutes. And I swear to you, it was the biggest mental like burner, not only physically burning, but mentally burning, because every single minute you had to like dig deep just to get that movement done within the minute. But the crazy thing is you could do it, right? Like his thing was like, you can always pick up a wall ball
Right.
and do 15 reps. I don't care, I don't care how tired you are, you pick up the ball and you do 15 reps. And same thing with burpee box jump overs. It was like, 10 burpee box jump overs in a minute. And he's like, I don't care how tired you are. If you dig deep, you can do it. And it's just like every round was just this mental, mind F, for lack of a better term. And I still can remember the feeling that I have back in the day when I actually got done my first 30-minute EMOM as prescribed, because I used to have to scale down a couple reps. I still remember the feeling of getting done that first 30-minute EMOM as RX and just being like, oh my gosh, I didn't even think I could do it, but I did it. And that means I can do anything, right? Like it was like that mental, like if you do the things that you originally didn't think you could do, it's like votes in your mind for you're way more capable of what you think. And then I think you can use that as fuel in these, more burning metcons.
Yep. No, I agree. I also think it's okay, by the way, to say things suck. I was joking the other day that I forget what our AMRAP was, but it was really long, 40 minutes or 50 minutes. And I'm like, it's going to be 40 minutes of me complaining. And they just laughed at me because they knew it was true.
Yeah.
And I'll just shout in the middle of workout, this sucks.
Well, it's funny because I do the same thing, but for like, I do it for fun. In the middle, the first shuttle run today, I was just like, what is this, a marathon? Like, I'm bored already, and I'm just like, everyone else is actually working out. I'm just like joking. I had to retie my shoes, and I was like, pause the clock. I got to retie my shoes, like stupid stuff like that. So I think you can have negative self words, but you have to, I think, doing it in a positive light. If you're actually like super grumpy about it, then I don't think it really helps that much.
No, it was a 40-minute AMRAP on Saturday at Partner WOD. We got to the 20-minute mark, and I turned around to the whole class. I'm like, you're halfway, everybody. Like, and they're all cussing me. They're like, shut up. Like, I think it's okay.
20 more minutes. Woo!
Yeah, you should be having fun. It's okay to complain as long as you're having fun complaining. I guess that's my point.
If you're like if it's like frumpy and like actually negative, I think it's a very rare person to use that as fuel. I think anger can be used very well as fuel, but actual misery and self-pity, probably not.
I'm with you on that. All right, dude. Well, this has been fun as always. I'm excited about this week and see what comes up, and then I'll probably I can't be with your wide prep team this Thursday because I'll be in Columbus, so I will not be able to
slap boxing or whatever.
I will not be able to give my fantastic advice to your wide prep team and correct everything that CJ tells them. So tell them I'm sorry.
Bummer. Next time, next year.
Yeah, I did enjoy being on there the first 2 weeks though, so tell them thank you.
I know they appreciated it.
All right. Well, for everyone joining us, thanks for being on, and we will chat with you guys soon.
Peace.